Well, now we're up to the first top 10 hit for Jon Secada, a singer whose Miami voice once helped the star of Miami Vice learn how to sing in Spanish. It happened a couple of years ago. Jon, a native of Cuba, had been active on the Miami music scene for years, writing and singing backgrounds for Gloria Estefan. One day, when Miami Vice star Don Johnson was recording an album, he called the Cuban-American singer and asked him to translate one of his songs into Spanish. Jon was very flattered for the opportunity to work with such a big star and said yes. Well, to his surprise, Don Johnson rolled out the red carpet. Jon was picked up in Johnson's private helicopter, and then he was flown out to the star's luxurious beachfront mansion for a gourmet dinner with Don and his wife, actress Melanie Griffith. That night, Jon Secada translated the lyrics into Spanish. And Don Johnson was so impressed by his talent, he asked Jon to stick around for a week, not for translating, but to be his vocal coach. Jon dropped everything, and for 7 days and nights, he put his new musical pal through a rugged regimen of vigorous vocal calisthenics in English and Espanol.
This is the hit spot where they count down nonstop to number one. Hi, it's Jon Secada, and you're listening to American Top 40.
Casey's Coast to Coast.
Well, now we're up to the current hit for singer Jon Secada. Recently, his voice helped prevent an international incident between two nations over a baseball game. The U.S. and Canada have lived at peace with each other until this year's World Series between the Atlanta Braves and the Toronto Blue Jays. You'll remember right before the beginning of the second game in Atlanta, an American military color guard entered the stadium carrying both the American and Canadian flags. Only problem was, the Canadian flag was upside down. Canadians were outraged. Well, the next game was scheduled to be played in Toronto. People on both sides of the border worried over the reaction of Canadian fans when the American flag was brought out. But nobody worried more than the man who had to face the crowd alone, the man who was scheduled to sing America's national anthem at that game, Jon Secada.
Well, I did the national anthem. I sang the national anthem for the World Series, and what an honor. You know, it was at the Sky Dome in Toronto, and what a feeling. I was nervous. It's probably the most nervous thing that I've ever done in my life. It's you, and it's a cappella. There's no music, there's no piano, there's no nothing. It's just you and your voice. That particular game was the game right after the evening where there was an accident with the flag. The American National Guard, I guess, they had flipped the Canadian flag upside down, and so there was a big controversy. This was the evening afterwards, and I was very fortunate. They made a statement right before the game in terms of an apology. So that kind of cleared the air a little bit before I started to sing. And once I started to sing, I felt a little bit nervous, but thank God as it comes towards the end of the song, and it's a hard song to sing, by then I felt that I won the crowd over, and it's just unbelievable.
Number 12.
Inching up a notch is a singer who says that in his teens, he was a nerd who spent his Saturday nights at home watching TV. These days, that former nerd spends his Saturday nights entertaining thousands of his fans. This is Jon Secada with Angel.
American Top 40.
At number 25 is one of the hottest new stars of the past year, Jon Secada. And since he's become a star, Jon's already lent a hand to a bunch of different causes, like Hurricane Andrew relief back home in Miami. So when we recently caught up with him, we asked him if he feels that the more successful an artist becomes, the more responsible they should be.
Absolutely. For any artist, really, whatever your cause might be that you're interested in supporting, whatever it is that you want to lend a hand to, we're in a position as artists and as people to lend a hand and to do that. It's our responsibility to be a good example and to do whatever we can for the causes that we believe in. Stardom to me is a very lucrative term. But it does mean one thing. It means that as a quote-unquote star, then it's my responsibility to give something back. Money, help, charities, whatever it is to help the people, because that's what it's all about. We're in the position that we can do it, and we should anytime we can.
It's Jon Secada, and this is the All-American Countdown, heard everywhere in the world. American Top 40.
On Casey's Top 40, I'm David Perry for Casey Kasem. Now we're up to the latest hit for Jon Secada, a singer who recently performed for 100,000 fans at one of the most prestigious spots in America. He did 6 big nights of shows at 2 and 4 in the morning. Every year, Disney World in Orlando, Florida, has something called Graduation Night Week. That's when the huge park throws open its gates to tens of thousands of graduating high school seniors. From dusk to dawn for the entire week, the park park is theirs to enjoy. And in addition to all the great rides, there are non-stop performances on the concert stage. Over the years, some of the biggest acts in the land have performed at Disney World during graduation night week. This year, the opening acts were Shy and PM Dawn, and the headliner was a local Florida resident, the man who's hit the top 10 with Just Another Day, Do You Believe in Us, and Angel, Jon Secada. Since the hours for graduation night run from early to very, very late, as the headliner, Jon Secada got on well past midnight. He did his first show at 2 in the morning, and as if that wasn't late enough, he did his second one at 4. He says that's a little late for him, but with so many fans spread out before him, there was no way he was about to fall asleep on stage. This week, one of the songs Jon sang at those shows moves up 2 notches to number 10 on Casey's Top 40. Here's Jon Secada, and I'm Free.
These are the year's 100 biggest hits of all. Hi, it's Jon Secada, and this is American Top 40's year-end special.
At number 85, one of the year's biggest stars, Jon Secada, and a song very close to him.
I'm Free came about, the hook of that song came about through a conversation I had with my father, actually. I was in Holland or someplace. I was really depressed. I was very unhappy. Different things that I've been going through in my life, you know, personal things. And my father is my counselor, my best counselor. He's my friend. And I called him, you know, we talked about different things, and I felt like the world was just going to collapse on me, you know, all these, what I felt were really big problems. And in Spanish, he told me the hook of that song. Soy libre, y todo en la vida tiene la importancia que tú le des. In essence, you're free to do whatever you want to do. And, you know, your problems are only as important as you make them up to be. And I said, I'm free, things are only as important as I want them to be. Boom. And that's my favorite hook in the album. And it came about through the conversation with my dad, so I'm going to have to give him writing credit.
That's the song Jon Secada's father inspired him to write, and Jon's parents are in the video. Maybe you've even seen it. I'm Free got as high as number 12 last week, and now it slips 4 to number 16.
Hi, it's Jon Secada. Happy Valentine's Day. Stay tuned for more great music with The Shadow.
Now we're up to a Cuban-American singing star who never suspected he had a future in music until a small voice told him to audition for his high school musical. He's Jon Secada, a man whose family moved from Cuba to Miami when he was just 8 years old. Jon grew up much like a lot of other kids, loving baseball and the pop music that he heard on the radio. His family had always told Jon that he had a good voice, but he had no plans to do anything serious with it. Then one day when he was a teenager, Jon was walking along the corridor of his high school. As he usually did, he stopped to look at the bulletin board. And that's when a flyer caught his attention. It announced auditions for the high school musical. Jon had never sung in public, and he'd never done any acting. But he decided to give it a try. Jon says, quote, I'd never done anything like that, and I didn't have anyone to encourage me to do it. Something inside me told me to audition. And it changed my life almost immediately. It brought to my life the love and passion for music, unquote. That high school musical was a huge success for Jon, and it encouraged him to pursue his music. With the help of his gifted voice, a scholarship, and a lot of hard work, Jon was able to attend the University of Miami and graduate with a master's degree in jazz vocal performance. And after that, he landed a job as a background singer for Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. In 1992, his first solo hit, Just Another Day, reached the top 10. And since then, he's had one big smash after another. This week, his latest hit rises a notch to number 10 on Casey's Top 40.
American Top 40.
Hi, it's Jon Secada, and this is the radio show everybody knows all over the world. American Top 40.
American Top 40.
If you're a singer or musician, you never forget that first time you're paid to perform on stage. Thrill or disaster, it's a memory that stays with you. Just ask the man at number 9 this week, Jon Secada.
My first professional gig was a New Year's Eve gig at a French restaurant in Miami, the Melody Inn, 4-star restaurant. It was great. I did it with a buddy of mine, and I'll never forget it. Got paid $100 and we got a free dinner.
Casey's Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the latest hit for Jon Secada, a singer who once fell right through the stage in front of 1 billion people. This past summer, Jon sang during the ceremonies that kicked off the World Cup at Soldier Field in Chicago. Not only was he performing for 100,000 soccer fans in the stadium itself, he was performing for a worldwide TV audience estimated at 1 billion people. Before he came on, there was a huge production number with dancers leaping up through a hole in the stage. And when they were done, the hole was covered up. Then Jon came on, and he gave his performance everything he had. He threw himself into it heart and soul. And he was so busy singing to the crowd, he didn't notice that the hole in the stage hadn't been completely closed. As Jon sang and gestured to the huge audience, suddenly he stepped into the hole and fell right through it. The singer tumbled through 12 feet of scaffolding and landed on the ground. Jon wasn't just shaken up, he had dislocated his shoulder. But, as they say, the show must go on. Jon's wireless microphone was still working, so he kept on singing to his audience of 1 billion people right from underneath the stage. When he finally climbed back up, he got a huge ovation. And because Jon had kept on singing through it all, a lot of folks thought his disappearing act was all a part of the show. This week, the intrepid Jon Secada isn't falling down from stages. He's climbing up the survey, rising 5 notches to number 32 on Casey's Top 40. Here's Jon Secada's latest hit, Mental Picture.
Hi, it's Jon Secada, and this isn't just another countdown. It's the biggest radio show around the world.
American Top 40.
And standing pat at number 26 on Casey's Top 40 is Jon Secada, a singer who says his favorite sport is tennis, his favorite car, a Lexus, and his favorite movie, The Godfather. When it comes to people, his favorite virtue is honesty. Here's Jon Secada with Too Late, Too Soon.
Casey.